Hey guys, it's
Hi.
Mark.
Hi guys, it's Michelle.
And this is Mark and Michelle. So I'm going to start with a short story because I think this will be interesting. We're going to talk about the myth that it's a difference in neurology and the assumption that
Hi Jasmina.
that neurology makes all the difference. But here's a short story. Since maybe the beginning of the summer, back in June, I have been sitting outside at work on my break watching the sun go down, and because I enjoy that. And while I was sitting out on the side of the store, we've got it's a very large half moon planter that's got mulch in it and plants and all that kind of stuff. Well, back in May of 2018, I started doing my present job, which is basically janitorial work for the Whole Foods here. And I really like it because I like cleaning and making things look nice and that type of stuff. And so back when I was working outside, that was before May of 2018, I had seen a little gray, kind of a smoke gray kitten running around. So it's been a year and a half ago now. And so starting this past June, like I said, I was sitting out on the side of the store, excuse me, and drinking my smoothies for lunch. And so this little smoke gray kitten, he apparently has been living in the plants all year long. And so when I'd sit out there, he'd pop up and he'd sit there and he'd watch me. Then he'd run around and start playing in the grass and this kind of stuff. Well, a few weeks back, I heard that they were trying to trap the kitten, and I expressed my wish that they would just leave the cat alone because he obviously survived one winter, possibly two, and I'm sure he was keeping the rodent population down if we had those, and he was eating good produce from the produce department. Well, they trapped him tonight and took him away, and that really made me mad because I had been sitting out there for almost 5 months now and developing a relationship with this kitten. And while he never approached me, and I never got to pet him or anything else, he'd almost always show up when I was on lunch, and I would play with him by tossing little pieces of wood chips and stuff at him. Well, I found it interesting tonight that I'm actually kind of grieving that the kitten is gone because I've never really had much affect me before up until now like that. And so the loss of this little guy has kind of hit me hard because I had obviously formed somewhat of a relationship with him. And I really enjoyed being out there with him, but now he's gone and I probably will never see him again. But it really made me mad. And so I think I'm talking about it now so that my anger doesn't come through on the rest of the show. But anyway, I think it's been really interesting for me to see how much I had been attached to a cat that I never really could get to know. I just saw him and played with him a little bit, you know. But anyway, that is actually, while that sounds like a sad thing, and it is.
Hi Sean.
Sean, it's also a happy thing because that means I'm feeling strong feelings
Emotions.
for even a cat. So, well, I see your point, Jasmina, and it's starting to get cold here, so he did need a place to hey Melissa, how are
Melissa.
you? He did need a place to keep warm, but he is feral and he will not approach anybody, and apparently they couldn't get near the cage that they trapped him in because he was reaching out and trying to bite them. So he was everybody said he was pissed, and I said he's not pissed, he's scared because you trapped him. So anyway, but on with our show tonight. Earlier in the week, we talked about neuroplasticity, and tonight's show isn't much different except to point out that, neuroplasticity is just the ability of the brain to change. Tonight we're going to talk about neurology, which is the wiring of. And it's not going to be super scientific because I don't think that's necessary. I know some of the science behind it, and so I'll talk about that. But neurology is the existing wiring. And I've heard a lot of people say, who I'm assuming, listening to them talk, are members of the neurodiversity movement, and I've heard them say often, well, the neurology is a difference in wiring. Now, the assumptions that seem to come with that is that neurology is what makes us special. Well, like we talked about earlier in the week about neuroplasticity, yeah, that neuroplasticity will make those people into liars. Because if your brain can change, your neurology will change as well. So, but the neurology, they want to tout that as an advantage. And so what I'm here to say is, sure, it is a difference in wiring, but it's not a difference in wiring for the reasons you think it is. The differences in wiring, it's actually poor wiring because you're unhealthy. Your gut doesn't work properly, so you're not getting the proper nutrition. Heavy metals are in the way, so your neurons aren't firing correctly. And as the medical medium says, that the neurons have that the electrical signal has to find a way around the heavy metals.
Yes.
To the other side of the neuron.
Not just the heavy metals. It's if there's calluses in your brain as well from traumas.
Mm-hmm. And so, sure, it's a difference in neurology, but it's poor neurology. It's faulty neurology. It's not working properly because of the things that I just mentioned, as well as if you had. Go ahead.
It's kind of rigged neurology.
Yes, it's not normal. It's not well-functioning neurology. There we go. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Well, I was thinking about someone who was not an electrician trying to make their house work and running wires that might not go where they're supposed to go, but they've worked it out so that it works the way that they've done it.
Jury-rigged.
Yes, I was trying to not be. That would be a German. What's the word for things that aren't nice?
I don't know. I don't know where you're going.
Okay, well, never mind.
So
we're not in sync tonight.
We're not, but it's not a crime. But what she's trying to say, shabby.
Go ahead.
Okay, but anyway, so it's jury rigged. In other words, it's rigged to work, but it doesn't function as well as it could, right? And so the thing is, the next assumption in that our neurology is different is that neurology is also better. Because I hear, well, we think different. Really? Well, how do you know? Okay. Because
we switch spots.
Oh, okay, that's it. And maybe that's it. It switched the energy. The polarities are reversed.
Whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, where was I? Oh, the assumption is that because the neurology is different, the thinking is different. Well, the thinking is different, but it's not as clear as it could be. And that's why we talk about normal brains. Like I talked about in neurodiversity, all human brains have basic functions that they should be able to do. And when they don't, they're called abnormal. So normal has nothing to do with personal preferences. It has to do with basic functioning. And so I've heard some people say, well, we think outside of the box. My question has always been, what box? Do you even know what the box is? And if you call it conventional thinking, NTs think outside the box as well. So I'm not really sure they fully understand what they're saying. And so to bust the myth, to break the myth to break the myth, Mr. Fry, he climbed up on a table back here. to continue breaking the myths like we've been doing all week, your neurology.
I got a lot of hearts.
Did he? The neurology is functioning, but it's poorly functioning neurology. The myth that goes with that is, oh, well, we have different neurology, so therefore we think better. You have different neurology. It isn't, it's comparative, not absolute. Just because you have different neurology doesn't make you perfect. And because it's the same way with NTs. NTs, the vast majority of the people on the planet are NTs, and they don't, and they all think just as differently from each other as all of you folks in the neurodiversity movement think you think differently than we do. So that just, it's not logical. It's an emotional reaction. It's not logical. So to break that myth, you just have to pull out and show, look, heavy metals are in the way. Your gut doesn't work properly, so you're not getting the proper nutrition. If you have PANS or PANDAS, or even not, you may have strep and viral infections, SIBO, that are skewing your perception. And I've met so many people with autism who do have skewed perceptions. God knows I did.
Yep.
And I didn't see her. I saw very little clearly, and I was paranoid.
Well, there's also the low blood sugar.
Well, and the low blood sugar issue, which makes you angry all the time, or makes you feel angry all the time, feel unapproachable. You don't want to be touched. I mean, you can't tell me that as an autistic person you're 100% healthy. I've never seen that. And you could say that. And we actually had one lady recently tell us, well, my son doesn't have any of this, and he's perfectly fine. Like, yeah, okay. You have to let that go. So, but the neurology, the wiring is different, but it's poorly functioning wiring. It would be like having electrical wiring in your house that is substandard, and then you keep wondering why circuit breakers blow out. Because your wiring can't carry the electricity. It's not standard enough to carry the electricity that it needs to complete the circuit. So they overload easily. I think that's probably the best way to put that.
That's what I was trying to say a while ago.
I gotcha. And so, well, and I see where you're going with that now. And when you have substandard wiring, you can't expect it to function like wiring that is up to construction code. It just doesn't. And that's why they tell you, like when you're building computers, make sure that the circuits you build can carry the electricity that you need, because otherwise you're just going to short out the system again and have to repair it, or it may be completely damaged and you have to replace it. Unfortunately, that doesn't often happen with human circuitry, because it can be repaired by getting healthy.
But it does happen. It happens through depression, anxiety, all those mental issues.
Mm-hmm.
It does happen in humans.
Well, it does. Well, I would say it doesn't happen often, so I'll take that back. Apparently, it happens all the time if I stop and think about that. So my apologies. I didn't think that through. But it does happen all the time. But that's the whole reason that we get healthy, is to fix the circuitry.
Right.
You can't tell me depression is normal.
Right.
Most people don't see depression as normal. Most people don't see schizophrenia as normal. Most people don't see paranoia as normal. All of these things are brain things with faulty functioning circuitry. Yet all of a sudden, high functioning autism is normal? No, it isn't. These folks want to be exceptional, and as one autism blogger put it, they have such low self-esteem they'll latch on to anything to feel special. And I get it. I get it. We all want to feel special.
You were there.
Yeah, I was there. But again, healing made the change for me. Made me realize I was special, not because of the autism, but because I was me. I'm not more special now because I healed, but I feel better now. And so that's a huge difference for me. And that makes things better between us. That makes things better between me and the rest of the world. Makes things better between me and my coworkers sometimes. But you know, and it also makes me miss kitties that get trapped, that I had formed a relationship with and didn't know, you know. And again, like I said, while that feels sad, and it is, because I missed the little guy, you know, it's great that I can feel that way now, because it would hardly have registered with me.
You wouldn't have seen the cat before.
Probably not. I would have seen the cat as an animal, but would not have formed any kind of relationship with it, you know. And I'm glad that I do now. So I know this may have come across as more of an angry episode or an angry rant. I tried not to, but it's because of my anger over missing the cat. So
Mark's not done grief.
Not really, and I've never done grief for losing a loved one, like losing her or a baby or anything else. So, you know, that is still to come. But hopefully
it's
years.
Very unpleasant.
Yes. So anyway, but that's what I have for tonight, unless we want to add anything to that.
You were going to add something.
Uh,
Maybe you did. You did.
I think I talked about it, yeah.
You did.
So, and the reason that the neurology is different is because the neurology is the existence of it. Neuroplasticity is just the changeability of the brain. The neurology is the fact of the state of the brain. That's why I think it's different.
And we talked last night, I guess, about how you still had the Aspie wiring after healing, and you had to change the wiring.
Well, and you know, and see, and that's something too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got two here, and that's good enough. I'll just have to come home and love on my little guys some more, but which I'm happy to do. But that's a good point, which I didn't know you were trying to make that point. Even when, well, you know, and that's the difference between the conscious mind and the brain.
Yes.
I think we talked about. I think you mentioned that
right.
like that last night. Is even though I healed my brain and it worked better, I still had a lot of the neural networks that made up the beliefs that I had when I was autistic, right? That people were horrible, that that I needed to watch out for people, distrust people, and all the other things. And so that I needed to control my environment and this kind of thing. I still had the wiring, even though my brain worked well.
And that's why we talk about the emotional healing techniques of energy medicine.
Mm-hmm. Because I still had the wiring, but I had to change the neural networks using not food and healing. Well, I would say it was healing, but it's energy medicine healing. You know, I had to use that to fix the wiring, the actual state of that, as opposed to, well, that was neuroplasticity at work on my neurology.
Right.
and so using EFT and forgiveness and stuff like that, that was my brain being neuroplastic by changing my neurology.
Just so you guys know, both kitties are right at Mark's feet, so they must sense that he's upset.
But anyway, well, that's all I've got for tonight. It's a little short, but that's fine. We don't have to.
Okay.
We don't have to blather on for forever. But anyway,
we don't blather.
Okay.
We say amazing things.
Well, that we do. But anyway, all right, guys. Keep on with the celery juice. Keep on with the heavy metal detox smoothie. Keep on with the lemon water, and definitely check out our book at www.healyouautism.com/buy the book, and all the freebies that come with it. Scroll down to the bottom and order the book, because it's definitely worth it. You can get started on the path to recovery just like we did. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night.
And we do coaching if you need any help.
We do.
Bye.
Bye.